Joe Biden, of course, is now US president, so the theory about what he might do has been replaced by the reality. What does it mean, in particular, for our region and Joe Biden's approach on China? Joining me now is Senior Fellow at the Lowy Institute, Richard McGregor. Thanks very much for your time. We know Joe Biden has sought to reverse outright a lot of Donald Trump's policies. On China, the indication is he's going to continue to stand up to China, albeit in a different way. So what are the key changes here?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, as you saw at the very start of Joe Biden's presidency, he basically reversed a lot of Trump policies with executive orders, but he conspicuously didn't do that on China. In fact, there was continuity in a number of areas, the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, for example, human rights abuses there, and also with a statement on Taiwan, a very strong statement on Taiwan. So you can see that continuity is the name of the game, but what the Biden people would tell you is that it's continuity with stability and an all-of-administration approach. In other words, Trump made a lot of policy on the fly with China. People had to catch up with him to implement it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Trump was really focused on trade with China and the bilateral trade deficit. The Biden administration, I think, is going to be a lot more sort of national security focused as well as on trade.
So that'll be the big thing for Australia, how focused the administration is specifically on our region. I mean, the US doesn't have to focus on things that might seem a bit niche, like soft power, soft Chinese power in PNG, but this matters for the world. Are they going to be that outward focused again?
Well, you know, Biden has come into office with a massive domestic emergency on his hands with COVID-19. The signs are that they want to walk and chew gum at the same time. In other words, they're trying to address that, but not leaving foreign policy fallow while they do that. In terms of, you know, the administration, Trump didn't believe in alliances. The Biden administration does. That means they should tend them more closely. That's like with Australia, with Japan, with South Korea and the like. So instead of fending the US off at times, we might be able to work more closely with them. In our region, Papua New Guinea, you mentioned, for example, Australia has to take the lead there. The US would expect Australia to lead in the Pacific. They would hope we'd do more in Southeast Asia, but we equally would hope they would do more in Southeast Asia. I think the other big problem for the US in Asia is that its focus is almost entirely militarily or national security based. They haven't really got a big economic foothold compared with China, and in getting out of the TPP, which Biden won't be able to get back into easily, it's a very imbalanced footprint in Asia, and I think that's an issue for Australia.
When you mentioned there what the US would expect Australia to do, I mean, this is one of the things that a lot of different analysts have agreed in a broad sense with Donald Trump's approach, that his message, albeit a bit of a crass one to allies, that we won't just have your back anymore, you need to put more into it, is something that America needs to do. It needs to share the load more. So what else will that specifically mean to Australia? Is that about more military spend? Is it more money so that we can, you know, try to compete with China on our region? What's it specifically going to mean?
Well, in some respects, without giving you a bland reply, it's kind of all of the above. Now, it's certainly true for a long time that US power has been diminishing in the region compared to China. That has meant that countries like Japan, India, Australia and the like have to do more. And in fact, we have been doing more for some time. What would the new administration expect of us? You know, as I mentioned, Trump was focused on trade. The Biden administration might be much more focused on national securities. That might mean harder choices for us in the defence space. In other words, we're looking at the issue of intermediate range missiles. The US might like us to do that. They might like to put more Marines in Darwin, for example. They might like us to do greater sort of naval exercises in the South China Sea. I think they're going to expect us to step up as a strong ally. They'll say they're stepping up more, but they're going to expect strong support from Australia as well. We think about China putting us under pressure. The US will also have Australia under pressure as well.
Do you think as well, just finally, the US and China on climate might have a bit more to agree on? Now, yes, China's still the biggest emitter and still going up for now, but they've signalled greater ambition, that they might really cooperate and both try to push other countries to do more?
That's the case, though. I think the big issue with climate, though, is the Obama administration, many people thought they were played by China on climate. In other words, they backpedaled or soft-pedaled on the South China Sea in exchange for engaging deeply with China on climate change issues. This time, the Biden administration doesn't want to be, doing one and not the other, or doing less of one so they can do more of the other. They think that they can run on both parallel tracks. It's certainly the case that Australia will be under a pressure across the board, not just from China and the US, from Europe and the UK, to do more on climate. I think we're going to get that from everywhere.
Richard, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.